Welcome back everyone to Beautiful Design Tutorial. This is Acode here, and we are going to continue from where we stopped in the part 4 of creating an automobile website from scratch. So this would be part 5. In the first 4 parts of this series, we talked about the head, HTML, we talked about the body, we talked about the footer, and we talked about the header. So today we'll be moving to the CSS part of it. Like you can see here, we have a link to a CSS we created in the first part of this series, and we created the link to a style sheet, and we named that style sheet style.css. So what we need to do now is to create a file called style.css, and as you can see here, I have the file already created here, and it's called style.css. If you haven't created yours, all you need to do now is to click on this 3 icon here and click on new file. Then you can input the name style.css here and click OK. So now I have it saved here. The next thing I'm going to be doing now is to put a general reset. Every browser, whether Edge or Chrome, has a certain default setting, and this default setting has a default margin or a default padding. Let's check it out first. So click on the play icon. Can you see each of this page isn't touching the edge of the website or of the page? Each of this text is not touching the side of the page. There is a margin pushing it away from the edge of the shape, and there is also a margin pushing each of these text away from each other. So now what we need to do is to remove all of those settings. And how do we do that? Use the star, then create 2 brackets, then divide the brackets. After dividing the brackets, the next thing you need to do now is to write margin. So I want to remove my margin completely. So I'll say margin should be equals to 0. Then I'll close it using a semicolon. Then I'll say padding. Padding also should be equal to 0. Padding also should be equals to 0. Then we have something also called box sizing. So I will be making my box sizing equal to border box. So anytime you have 2 words in CSS, you need to put a dash to separate them. Border box, then close it. So now we put our general reset. Let's go check out what we've done. So can you see each of those margin is gone? Every margin here is gone. The margin to the left is gone. The margin to the right is gone. The ones that are separating each of those texts before is also gone. Now we have our page the way it should be without any of those default settings. The next thing I'm going to be doing now is to style my header. So how do I do that? I'll be writing header, then opening my brackets the way I've always been opening it, then put a space in between. Here I'll be making my background color orange. Background color should be orange, and orange. There should be a space here and then a semicolon at the back. Then I'll say text align. That's align all text on the screen to center. Text align, and I'll say center. So then the last thing we need here now is a padding. So I'll be making my padding 15 pixels. So let's just say a padding of 15 pixels, then a semicolon. So now we've styled our header. Let's go check it out now inside our index.html. Can you see what we have here? We have Net Automobile, homepage, cars, and contacts. So Net Automobile is in black, and naturally it doesn't look too good. But we'll be styling the body next, the body of our element next. So let's style our body element. Body, just like before, we'll write body, then opening our brackets, then closing it back, put a space in between, and then inside the body I want a background image. Inside the body I don't want to use a color, I want to use an image. So background image. Oh, there is the here. So a background image, Inside the background image now, for us to put a image as our background, we need a URL. So I'll be putting URL, then opening my bracket. Inside the brackets, I'll put in images because my text, my background, I've put it inside my images folder. Then inside this images folder, we're telling CSS to look for something called lambo.png. So that lambo.png, I've put it into my images folder. You can do that by going to File Explorer or File Manager. Just click on your image and move it into your images folder. So now that we've added all of this, the next thing we need to do now is to add a semicolon at the end of it all. So now I want to add a font family. So I'll just be saying font family. The font family means they are the type of fonts the website should use. So I'll just be saying Arial. I'll be using the Arial font for it. And then after the font family, I can have something like background size. Background size. So I want the background to cover my screen. So I'll be saying background size should cover my screen. Background size cover. Then a semicolon at the edge. Then background repeats. Background repeats. No repeat. This background repeat means it should not repeat the same images over and over and over on the screen for it to full. Instead, it should just use one and stretch it out to cover the screen. So background repeat, no repeat. No repeat. Then a semicolon at the end. Then we can also have background position. Background position. Inside this background position now, we can see center. Let's center it. Then we also have one other last one called background attachment. Background attachment. And this one I'm going to fix it in a position. So I'll just say fixed. So let's use our semicolon to cover it. The last one now, I'll be using the color, which means all the text on this screen should take this exact color. So I'll say color should be equals to white. So every text on the screen now will be taking the color white. So now we've created our body, finished. Let's go check out our HTML. Can you see all text now are white, and then we have our car's image as our background. Let me tilt it for you to see. So we have our car image as our background. Can you see it there? Okay, sorry for the interlude. So the next thing we'll be doing now is to continue styling our CSS. The next thing I'm going to be styling now is our nav element. Let's go back to our HTML and look for our nav element. Yes, we can see our nav element here, and you can see I gave it a class. I give it a class of car. So now instead of styling the nav element, what we are going to be styling is the car. Imagine we had more than one nav element on an HTML page, and I say my CSS should style a nav element. Well, it will style all the nav elements. But if I want it to style only one, I will be more specific by giving that one nav element a class. And the class name I gave it is car. So now I'll be styling cars instead of nav. So for us to style a class, we need a dot, and then car. So I'll be styling the UL, that is the another list of the car. So how do I do that now? I'll be putting my bracket first, opening and closing of the brackets, then putting a division between them. Then I'll be using display flex. So this display flex means everything in my another list should be set in a row instead of being in a column the way it was before. Everything would be in a row. Then we'll justify each of the contents to center. It's just like saying text align center, but this time we use justify contents to center. So I've centralized it. Then we also have list style. list style. So I'll just be saying list then dash style. List style should be equals to, let's say, none, because I don't want any of those bulletins or numbers to continue to show on the header of my screen. So I'll say list style should be equal to none. Then margin, I want to give the bottom margin to divide it from the neat automobile we wrote there. So I'm saying margin should be equals to 10 pixel. No, margin bottom, because it's the bottom I want. So I'll be saying margin bottom should be equals to 10 pixel and then a semicolon to cover it. Then I can add a border around it. So border, I want my border to be, let's say, 2 pixel solid. 2 pixel solid. Naturally, you can have other type of border like a double border, a thin border, different kind of border like a dashed border. We can have different kind of border, but today I want a solid and thick line. So I'll be saying 2 pixels solid, then the color gold. So I want my border to take the color gold. Then the next thing I'm going to be doing now, since I'm done with my unordered list, let's go check out what we've done there. So click on the play icon. Can you see we have a border around our home page, cars and contact, and we can see it is in a row, but we can see there is no space between any of them. There is no space between any of them, so we need to put a space between them. And how do we do that? Let's go back to our style.css. Now, instead of justify content center, let's say justify content, we should make it space evenly. Let's say space evenly. Okay, let's now check it now. So can we see we have space in between them, and each of the space is the same space that we have at the edge. Each of the space are even. So now let's just continue what we are doing as we are styling this page. So the next thing we are going to be styling now is our list items. Each of those list items, that is the car, home page, and the third one, each of those things are what we are going to be styling next. So instead of ul now, we'll be using li. So car, then li. Then open the brackets, then close it back and put a division between them. So let's just say font size. Font size should be about 20 pixel. 20 pixel. Then a semicolon. Then let's say the color should be gray. Color, let's say gray. Then semicolon. And the last one I want to put here now is font family. So I'll just be saying font family, and I'll be making my font family Montserrat. So Montserrat is also a type of font family that is available to web developers. Normally we can see many other type of fonts in Google Fonts. You can just search it online, Google Fonts, and we can see the URL for each of those fonts. So next thing I'll be styling now is each of the link on their own. Now we styled the list items, that's the three of the links together. The next thing I'll be styling now is the list item individually. So I'll just say remember a link item is denoted with the letter A, so list items A, then open and close the brackets, put a division between them. So what do we need for our list item? First thing is list style. The list style, we want it to be none. List decoration. List decoration, I want it to be none, so it won't be underlined anymore. It won't be underlined anymore. Instead, it will just be a certain straight text. Next is color. I'll be using the same color I used here, gray, color gray. Then I'll just say gray. Then put a semicolon there. Then font width. This makes it bolder or less bold. It can make it thin, it can also make it bold. So font weight, I'll make my font weight now, I'll make it bold. Then put a semicolon here. This is text decoration, not list decoration. Since we are not styling the list, we are styling each of the text. So text decoration. Let's go and check what we've just done to our file. Can we see what we've done? We've changed each of these file, each of these links to the color gray. We've also put a border around it, and we have mate automobile under it in the color white. So now what do we need to do next now? So what we need to do next now is to create a car hover. So anytime a pointer hovers over it, we want the color to change. How do we do that? Put the same class, then then we have a column, then hover. Like this now is we are telling him that inside the class car we have a link, and each of those link we are taking them individually, and inside those individual link, anytime we hover over it, give it a certain color. So what is the color we want to give it? First, we put our bracket so that we can give it the instruction. Then we say color. Our color should be, let me say I want the color blue. Let's say I want the color blue. Now we have car hover and the color blue. So anytime you hover over it, the color will surely change to the color blue. So can you see? I'm hovering over it now and the color is blue. We can also have something called car active. Yes, so anytime this is active, anytime the link is active, that is when you clicked on it and you are on the page. We have another color for that. So let's just say car, then active. A, then a colon, then active. So what color do we want to give to that? Let's use another different color for that. Let's say the color red. Put a bracket, then put a division between them. Let's say color should be red. Red. Okay, so a column to cover it. Now anytime you click on each of these links, it will just change the color to red. But can you see it changed it to red at that exact moment you were clicked on it, but we're on the page for now, so it won't be clearly shown until we create other pages. So now we have car active, car over, cars individual, and car list. But this is just the header we've styled. Next we are going to be styling is our body element. So we'll be doing that in part 6 of this video, so stay tuned and don't forget to like and subscribe. If you need a link to download the app called Acode, where we are using to style all of this or to create all of these websites, you can see it in the description below.